Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change, the podcast by the fan for the fan. We're so happy you've tuned in and found us, and we're back with another episode to talk, of course, about wrestling. I am your host, Never Wrong Nick Bull. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my tag team partner. We are co-champions of the For Frequency's Sake Network. We are the co-hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast. He is the one. He is the only. He is the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited. We've got a new guest in the studio. Always love having new guests come in. And it's good because I feel like we're hitting that lull between the end of the year and the Royal Rumble that kind of hits with wrestling. So
you're right. You're right. We are kind of in a lull with wrestling. No, really. I mean, outside of War Games, no really major shows left in the year.
Well, there is Full Gear.
Well, any major shows.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I'm not throwing any AEW shade here. I know we got Full Gear and World's End, but it does kind of seem we're in a lull. Like everybody's kind of waiting for War Games to happen, and then of course the countdown to Royal Rumble, and then we're back in WrestleMania season. So, hey, we found something to get you through this lull. And like you said, we've got a first-time guest in here. I love having first-time guests in here because I get to ask my favorite question, of course.
Of course. Before we bring in our guest here, I just want to remind everybody we are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and of course protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. Let's just welcome him into the studio. We've got the pro wrestling pitchman himself, Mr. Kody Kaiser. Kody, welcome aboard.
Hi, Card Subject to Change. This is Kody Kaiser here. That's right, the man of the people, the man with the deals, America's #1 pro wrestling pitchman. How's it going, guys?
Good to
It's going great. I want one of those headsets for this show. How do I go about getting one of those?
Well, you can come right through me. It's easy. All I need is just 17 easy payments. Actually, I like you guys. We'll make it 16 easy payments of just $49.99. All right. I'm nice. Okay. What can I say? And I'll get one shipped right to you.
Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun already.
I might have to take you up on that offer.
Oh, don't worry. You already did. By agreeing to have me on here, any deals I bring up, you guys have already agreed to. If you would have read the fine print, it was included. So you can't, sue me.
Nick, you were in charge of this contract. I know I booked him, but you were in charge of reading the contract. So
yeah, I got to do a better job of it. I just kind of browsed over it. I browsed over it like the wrestlers do when they do the contract signing. They just go ahead and sign. That's kind of like how I was.
Exactly. Well, don't worry. Even if you looked close, you probably wouldn't have found it. But
well, Kody, we're glad.
I appreciate doing business with you guys. Yeah, I was going to say.
We're glad you're here. We're willing to hear your pitch. We're glad we got you in studio, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you what I ask all our other first-time guests, and that is this: why pro wrestling? What got you into it? What was it that made you go, "Oh man, I got to have more of this"?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always love. So I guess I'll start with my first memory with pro wrestling, and just because I love it. So I was a huge Mick Foley fan, but for a little different reason than most. So I remember being very young, and I don't know how it all lines up because I can never figure out how the dates, but I specifically remember flipping through channels one night, and I saw something about how Mick Foley, if he lost, he was going to have to retire. And I was so upset, and I was just and I remember crying to my mom, oh, I don't want Mick Foley to retire. So I was a huge fan of a show called Robot Wars, and Mick Foley was the host of Robot Wars USA. And I thought if he lost, he was going to have to quit Robot Wars. And I was just so upset. I was just, man, it ruined it. And I was like, no, I don't want that. Because I had no idea about wrestling, nothing like that. And then it came to be that my brother had a friend in high school, my younger brother, and his family was into wrestling. And so they watched WrestleMania 22 in Chicago. And so they got the DVD, and my brother started kind of watching it. And so we got the DVD. And so I was kind of sitting, hanging with my brother and watching it. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, this is crazy. Like the theatrics that go into it and everything, especially. And then, so I knew Mick Foley from Robot Wars, and I saw his match with Edge in the hardcore match. And man, I was hooked. We both started doing, and like the Hardys were big because we're brother tag team. And yeah, and so we went through like 4 different trampolines we broke over the years of wrestling. So yeah, that's kind of what all got my peaking interest.
So then I'm going to follow that up here. What was the crystallizing moment for you that said, I have to do this? This has to be where my life goes.
Yeah, I honestly think it was just WrestleMania 22. Like I said, especially that Edge and Mick Foley match. But just in general, and just spending that time with my brother, and like we both just bonded so much over it. And it was like, I want to do this. This looks awesome. Like, look at, like I said, not just the wrestling aspect, but the theatrics was so much, the facial expressions. And like, I mean, not like Mick Foley was great at connecting with the crowd. And that's what I always loved. But Edge with the facial features, I just hated him. But as I start to go in, I'm like, man, I love to hate this guy. He's like just so good. And so, yeah, that's kind of where my, like, really, honestly, that's what I can picture. I can remember my brother and I just doing and pretending, and I'm like, yep, this is it. First show I've ever watched, but this is it.
I love you bring that up. WrestleMania 22, of course, that hardcore match with Mick Foley and Edge. I think that's when, in my opinion, that's when like Edge really took off, is when he was like the rated R superstar. He had Lita. He was the guy you loved to hate. Like you wanted to see him lose. But he was so good at everything he did. And you talk about those facial gestures. Like that's one thing that I would always like speak up and remember about Edge is his facial reactions and how well he was. And I love that rated R superstar stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love one thing that I'm always watching, whether I'm watching independent wrestling or watching the big dogs, I'm always looking at people's faces to see how they react to certain things, how they react to a kick out, how they react just in general, because that's part of the fun of it all, is to see the reactions. Kody, what we're talking about WrestleMania 22, and you're talking about Edge, Mick Foley. What are some of the other shows that you remember? Who else did you follow as you were coming in and getting into the wrestling?
Yep. Yeah. So besides for kind of Mick Foley and hating Edge, Rey Mysterio was another big one because, of course, around that age, and especially 22, just winning the World Heavyweight title. Mm-hmm. So that was another big inspiration. Of then Undertaker. I mean, it's can't go wrong with the Undertaker. So those were kind of, I would say, and HBK, I guess, too, was another, big one, especially him coming back after. Or I mean, his match with Vince and stuff was another insane one to watch. And so, yeah, and then those are, I would say, kind of my main ones, and just, following their career. And then it was cool once I got into it, when you see like the Shield come is probably the first one I would say, like I've been watching their entire career, and so that's cool seeing the evolution and being like, okay, now I can see why, some people like love guys that I'm like, oh, they're good, but it's like, oh, you've seen their entire progression. It's like, that's really cool. One of the best parts about wrestling, you see evolution. And not the group either, but
right. I knew what you meant. You look back on it. I seen something the other day where someone had ranked the best factions ever, and they had the Shield at number 1. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue, because honestly, all 3 guys went out and became megastars on their own. So I mean, it's kind of hard to argue that.
Exactly. I would say, even if you want to include the special guest, the Triple H and the Kurt Angle, I mean,
exactly, right? The special honorary members were our Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for
exactly.
Sure. For sure. How how does one, I want to know how you got into wrestling, how you decided, hey, I'm going to give this a go. And talk about that a little bit. And then I want to get into the evolution of you becoming the pro wrestling pitchman.
Absolutely. So I guess to start, so right when I turned 18, graduated high school, I'm like, I want to do this. I want to be a pro wrestler. So I went online, found, what wrestling companies are around. And I actually found Brew City Wrestling out in Milwaukee, West Dallas, Wisconsin, they were at the time. And so I trained there for about just over a year, back before they had the Lumberton Academy. And it was just before the shows and kind of training, and that was going well. But then I got mono, which basically I couldn't do anything physical for over a year. And then I was in college at the time, and everything got busy. So I had to quit, sadly. So I had kind of been off for a while, and then Stumpy, Justin Reisdeck, he wrestles in kind of my area and stuff. He had lived in my hometown of Warren, Illinois for a while back in the day. And so he knew my family. And so he runs shows up here for homegrown wrestling. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, if you want to come help, anything, just I know you've done this a little bit. So I did for a while. And he eventually started having me do some spots. And the one day he kind of pulled me aside. He's like, I can see that passion still there. He's like, we got a training school down in Sterling Rock Falls and run by Zeke Zishi. And it's great school. He's like, I want you to. He's like, I can tell that passion's still there. So I finally was like, you know what? I'm working now. It's good, but I'm like, I do got that passion. I'm like, I just got to finally just commit again. And instantly, yep, I'm like, all right, we're doing this.
So how did you become the professional wrestling pitchman? How did the evolution of Kody Kaiser come to being who you are right now?
Well, you see, one's kind of born in the pitchman role. No, actually, so 1 year for college, I was always the last minute Halloween costume, like last second, like what can I do? So the 1 year I decided to go as sexy Billy Mays, as of course one does, because why not? And so when I was training for Zawa and stuff, I got asked by Zeke Zishi if hey, like if you want to, you can be in this Halloween costume battle royal we're having. And I'm like, this is kind of last minute. I'm like, what do I have left? I'm like, I still have that costume. I'm like, yeah, that might be a fun, stupid thing to go out, bring a thing of OxyClean with me and just go out and, do a whole basically Billy Mays bit. And so I go out and do it and I'm like, oh, whatever. And a couple of days later, I get a message from Zeke and he's like, I really like that. That should be your gimmick. And I'm like, all right, never once ever thought of that being fun. I'm like, I can see how it could be, fun and stupid. And it's like, especially as a heel, I'm like, all right, let's see where it goes. And I just kind of committed and here we are.
I'm glad you had OxyClean instead of the Flex Seal for that Halloween Battle Royal.
Absolutely. Got to be Billy Mays all the way, man. I can't be out, bringing in those other products.
Oh,
I love it because it's there and nobody else thought of it. You went out and did it, and now you've kind of made this thing your own. Talk about like what that feels like. Hey, you have this and you're like, I'll try it, and then it turns out that it works and people react to it.
Oh, exactly. And honestly, that's one of the best parts is just especially this thing right here. I'll come out and I'll be rambling my mouth the whole time. And like one thing, actually, a story I always like to think of is there's a story I always reflect on from Christian, when him and Edge first broke up, and Christian had to cut a heel promo in the ring, and he said he went out there and he forgot everything, and so he just started rambling, trying to figure out what he was trying to remember. And he thought, I'm fired. He's like, Vince is going to be, you're out. Like, that was awful. And he come back and Vince is like, I loved it. And Christian's like, I didn't say anything I was supposed to. He's like, you were rambling. People were getting mad. That's what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's easy. So I have like a few key points I want to bring up, but I go out there and I just start talking. And so that gets already people fired up. But then especially during mid-match, I go over and I'll throw it back on, especially during the heat. And oh my gosh, just hearing the reaction, like, get that mic away from him already. Like, come on, ref. And I'm like, no, the ref would never do that. He's a smart man. And then I try and sell a deal to the ref because of course I do. And so, and yeah, and it just building it and kind of just getting more and more into character, and especially kind of my peers and some of the guys I look up to in the business, hearing like, man, you're getting really comfortable in that role is awesome. And like you said, I've never really, I mean, I know Booker T, Rock, and those guys have kind of done a little bit of headset work while wrestling, but otherwise it's not very tapped on market. And it's, especially, I'll be honest, I'm not going to be out there doing a lot of the athletic stuff. I can't do that. And so I knew, I'm like, what's something I can excel in? And so I try and bring that out with my just verbal and facial reactions. And like I said, it kind of taking that edge and those guys that have more of that.
Well, you're adding a whole new. You're adding a whole new level to the character. I love it when the wrestlers are at ringside and they'll grab somebody's headset and put it on. And like you said, The Rock cutting a promo mid-match, kicking somebody's butt with that headset on. I've always found that to be great. I love that. So like you've taken that and went to the nth degree.
I appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. That's speaking about kicking somebody's butt. That's one of my favorite spots to do with it is I'll throw it on and I call it my easy payments. And I do the stomps in the corner and I count 1 easy payment, 2 easy payments, 3 easy payments.
And you talk about getting a reaction. Obviously, you've gotten a reaction out of Nick.
See,
you got a reaction out of both of us. But you talk about getting a reaction. That's the whole point of getting on the mic and stepping out there. Is if you're not getting a reaction, you're not doing your job right.
Exactly.
And to have this salesman-esque persona, nobody wants to be walked up to and tried to be sold something. I mean, if you're going out at the store, you're there to buy something, but nobody wants to be walked up to and say, "Hey, I've got a deal for you."
Yep, I would say it's always just think of the sleaziest car salesman you can think of, and I'm going to be better than him. Especially, and then like people say my deal prices are awful. I don't really get what they're talking about. I try and make them fair with, like I said, like the earlier one with 16 easy payments of just $49.99. I'm nice. That's a pretty good deal. If you ask me, which I always have the best deals. So,
and of course you accept cash or money order.
Well, exactly. Or like if you have a credit card, just send me the credit card number. Mother's maiden name, probably a good one too. If you want to send that, just make sure I'm getting it through right.
You might need a card scanner like on your belt.
There you go. I like it. Not a bad idea. Now we're talking.
What are those Apple devices called? The little box that you tap the card onto?
Go around.
I mean, talk about your character, and it's ever evolving. You're not going out there and saying the same thing every time. Like you're coming at it with a new way, a new twist to get people a reaction. So to talk about like the ever changing part of your character of when you're talking and cutting these promos and talking to the crowd. Talk about how much like you got to be on top of your game. I mean, if you're doing this character and trying to sell somebody something, right?
Exactly. And so I always try and like bring it up, like something maybe relevant. So I remember the day this past summer where there was that big internet hack and stuff. And we had to show that today. So of course I was trying to sell my own internet and saying that this wouldn't get hacked, and stuff like that. But then also depending on the wrestler I'm facing, I try and make a deal specific to them too. And like, that's kind of a slap in their face. So I wrestled one of our guys named Bayou Bill and stuff. And he's kind of, the Bayou character in a sense. And so I had pins I was doing to do for Save the Alligators, Kody Kaiser Alligator Fund. And I was saying that, all this guy's out here killing gators. But if you go for me, I'm going to save all these gators. And then, of course, at the bottom of the pins, it says, Kody Kaiser is not responsible for any money actually saving Gators and stuff like that. Or Matt Hatter, I know you guys had on your show before, and for how crazy he is. I tried to sell him, some white jackets that'll keep him nice and tight because he needs to slow down a little bit. But so yeah, I try and do that aspect. But then actually another part that I like for my for the pro wrestling gimmick is trying to do for when we have those more serious moments. It was an idea I thought of kind of out of the blue, and I'm like, we're just gonna try and do it. I'm gonna send a promo, send it to Zeke Zishi for Zawa, and if he likes it, sweet, we'll roll with it. If not, what am I out? And so we brought it out a few times, and it's kind of one of those that I'm hoping to keep my character kind of ever evolving. Is when I have, like I said, those serious matches, I'll pull down my hair instead of the gray flannel that I always wear around my waist. I throw in a black one, and it's just no deals are being made. It's all of you didn't buy my deals, and so now I'm pissed at the world. And it's just no more like silly pitchmen out there, having fun. It's kind of the darker side,
So I've got to know, you talk specifically about like Matt Hatter, a couple of other. There is a wrestler, and I'm going to butcher his name. I hope I don't. Is it Herzog?
Yep.
What would you pitch to this guy who doesn't speak English when he comes out to the? He's talking in tongues, basically.
Well, of course, yeah. Well, one, I've seen that walking stick he carries around. That thing that could use a pretty good upgrade, if you ask me. I would get a much nicer one, maybe an English translator on it too, built in, so that way we can actually understand what he's trying to mumble out there. And so actually, Herzog, if you're listening, I can get you one of those. All it will take is just $7. No, what we already did. We'll do 24 easy payments of just $2,342.99. Really, you can't find that anywhere else on the market. So
it's a good
call
deal.
now.
Yep. Exactly. That's comments right here on the channel, and then we can make it happen.
I love it, man.
Comments with your credit
it.
card information in the comments section.
Exactly. Social security card number if you have it, just so that way we make sure we're covered. I just want to make sure you're getting your order. Nothing, that's all.
Well, I think we're going to take a moment here, take a brief time out. We've got to pay dues to the other shows on the network. So we're going to do that for a moment here. And on the other side of the break, we'll have our weekly moment of focus with JT Energy. We are talking with Kody Kaiser here on Card Subject to Change, the podcast by the fan, for the fan, powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. We will be right back in just a moment.
For frequency's sake, has you covered on all things sports. From the squared circle to the hardwood and the gridiron to the speedway, we've got something for everyone. Walk down the aisle with the boys from Card Subject to Change every Sunday as they take a deep dive into everything pro wrestling. Head on over to the hardwood with Doug Green and Watching the W each week for all the news from the WNBA. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your gambling fix? We've got you there. Dan Hancock and Gotham Gambling will help you cover the spread with the Golden Ticket Show. Football more your style? Explore the waters of NFL DFS with DFS Deep Dive with Brian Craighead and Jordan Kernan each week. More into the science portion of the game? The Professor John Bush and Dennis Michelson take you into their science lab and dissect your week in the data lab. Need to know who to start last minute? The network's flagship show, For Fantasy's Sake, is here in a pinch. The fellas come to you live every football Sunday from 10 to 11:30 Central with the week's best DFS, gambling, and lineup advice. And wrap up your Sundays with Joe Winkle and Nick Brinks as they come to you live with educated ignorance looking at all the day's action. Not enough football on Sunday? Not a problem. Kick your feet up at lunch on Monday and slip into the football lounge with Mark and Dan while they look at the week that was in news, notes, and more. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to Card Subject to Change, the podcast by the fan, for the fan. We have in studio Kody Kaiser joining us. He is the Pro Wrestling Pitchman. But before we continue with Kody and his sales pitch, we are going to divert our conversation here and join our weekly segment provided by JT Energy called The Moment of Focus. Let's go ahead and tune in and see what JT has on his mind this week.
Welcome to A Moment of Focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy. And today, my friends, the Card Subject to Change podcast, another new guest in the house. Listen up, because you might just learn something new. But we're not focusing on learning new things today. No, my friends, we are focusing on one thing. Taking care of this big skin sack that we call a body. Because whatever's in front of you, this is all you got. Once this is done, once this gives up on you, you're done. So my friends, we're not here to be morbid. We're here to embrace it. Embrace this body, embrace this life. If you're not happy with it, do something about it. If you are happy with it, make it better. Why not? Keep it where it's at. See what the limits are. But my friends, focus on taking care of yourselves. Whether that means having a six-pack or being able to climb to the top of Mount Everest. Do yourself a favor. Just take care of yourself today. And if you didn't do it today, just do it tomorrow. And if you don't do it tomorrow, do it the next day. This has been A Moment of Focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy.
Thank you very much, JT. Always good advice, always some sage words and good things to say, and definitely hits home with me more times than he doesn't. Nick, what do you think?
Whatever he says seems to be pertinent to what's going on. He always finds a way to be able to connect. So I appreciate that from JT, and I appreciate him lending his voice to a weekly segment. And we got a guest here that, he says what he's talking, and I think he's making that connection with the audience. He's trying to get that sell with the audience. Our guest here is Kody Kaiser. He is the Pro Wrestling Pitchman. I know CZ has seen you in Zawa. Talk about Zawa a little bit. I have yet to been to a Zawa show. I want to know what to expect when I come to a Zawa show and when I come to see Kody Kaiser perform.
Well, of course. So what's your biggest dream? And I would say it's probably a little better than that is what happens when you come to a Zawa show. So, easy as that. But no, actually, if you're looking for a show, we have our it's Zawa Fest 5, and that's this upcoming Saturday. I think that's the 16th. Yep, Saturday the 16th in Nelson, Illinois. It's a little outside of Rock Falls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great show. For our talent, we have a ton of we have both a lot of the newer wrestlers in this area of Northwest Illinois, and then a little bit of Iowa and Wisconsin, and we bring them all in, and we have those, but then we also have guys that have been running this area for a long time, and then also we got some of the top talent like All Steel Jay Fowler plays a big role in him, and then Christian Rose. They got a 30-man Ironman match coming this Saturday for the Zawa Live title, so that's a big one, and then Mike Hartenbauer, another big name, and just a bunch of those. And like I said, then we got the younger ones like Florida Man, and then most importantly, Kody Kaiser.
Now, Kody, you mentioned that, excuse me, that Christian Rose, Jay Fowler, they are in a title match, 30-minute Ironman match, but you mentioned titles. You have a title of your own. You are the current fireweight champion of Zawa Live. Talk about,
baby.
First of all, talk about that championship belt and how you have customized it to be your own.
Well, you see, this title, just like me, needs to be able to talk. So I had to put a microphone on it and let everyone know what it's thinking and the deals it's bringing when it's around my waist or around my shoulder in this instance. But so no, this is the Zawa Fireweight title. Won it here a few months ago from Everett Benton in a match where I put him out of commission. So I was very happy about that. And now this upcoming Saturday, I got 3 other chums who are going to be trying to take this from me. I got Gambit, that Bayou Bill, and then of course Matt Hatter, which they all can keep dreaming. They're not taking this title, especially when it's making the deals with me. This is my number one business partner.
What does it mean to you when a company like Zawa has enough faith in you to have you carry one of their championship titles?
Honestly, it meant the world. I remember, finding out that I was going to get the opportunity to, and it was just it was like, all right, let's make sure I can get there and get it first. Hopefully, I can keep that going. But then just the confidence is a big one. And knowing that, okay, I must be doing something right. It's one of those, I feel like a lot of people have, but just the kind of imposter syndrome a little bit. So even though I'm out there, getting the reactions, it's like, okay, am I actually, or is there something? Am I just making it up as I go? But to be given that faith of, all right, yep, here's the title. Let's see what you can do with it. Let's see if you can keep it going. So, yeah.
I love, Kody, how you mention the belt as a business we haven't. I've been watching wrestling for a long time, and I haven't heard a champion, look at the belt and refer to that as their business partner. But I like that whole angle, and God, I love the headset on the belt. That makes me pop, man. That is great, man.
Hell yeah, I love that. Yeah, it was one of those that I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I have an extra headset running around. I'm like, hey, is this okay if I do this? And sure, why not? All right, perfect. We're doing it.
We had our secondary show, The Kickout. We talked a couple weeks ago about customized titles, maybe more than a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We've been doing The Kickout for what, 10 weeks now, Nick? 11?
Yeah, yep.
So towards the beginning, but customized titles are always hit and miss. I think that fits you. I love that, and it fits who you are and what you're doing. So I think this was a very well placed customization, honestly.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, I was say it's the number. If you guys redid your talk, it'd be number one, right? Just like the number one America's Wrestling number one pitchman, like it has to be, right?
Right,
yeah,
right.
That's what I need. Right. I just need to hear that, just that confirmation.
So one thing we like to do here, we're card subject to change. We're card subject to change for a reason. We love to play a little fantasy booking with people. So let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit, so to speak. Where, if you could put yourself into any storyline to make it better or make it different, where would you put yourself and why?
Like current storylines?
Anything.
Current, past, present, whenever.
Whatever you want.
Man. Hard-hitting question. Let's see. Man, I was like, one, it would just be like a dream to do like back with Edge in the day, but like obviously he's a heel and I'm a heel, so that wouldn't work well. But like one that I think could be a lot of fun is Santino. Like, man, with his babyface character in mind, I feel like we could have like a ton of stuff like that, and just I
think that'd be fun. I could see that.
I could see you having a weekly in-ring segment, like Chris Jericho had the highlight reel. You could have, it could be Kody Kaiser and the sales pitch. And
now we're talking.
Big interview segment. It could also produce your next feuds. I mean,
exactly.
Jericho had the highlight reel. I mean, I think you need to have the sales pitch.
I like that a lot. Especially because, oh man, you like look at them and those kind of segments used to be so big, but there's not really much anymore. So yeah, why not? Yeah. Let's roll with it. I love it.
I'm all for it, man. You can have that one for free.
Okay, I appreciate it. See, I only accept things for free, but if I gave you that, you'd have to buy it, just so you know. But
all right, man, you got me. What's coming up for Kody Kaiser? Where can we see you wrestle here in the next few weeks, few months? What's your calendar looking like?
Absolutely. So like I said, Zawa Live here this upcoming Saturday, 16th, Zawa Fest 5. got that fatal 4-way for my Fireweight title. And just a spoiler, I'm going to be walking out with that Fireweight title.
You
My
heard it here
business
first.
partner, it's not going anywhere, especially to those other 3. They're not going to take it. But so that's the main one coming up. And then we got a homegrown wrestling show in Lena, Illinois on November 30th. And then I think there's a few more Zawa shows and homegrown here coming up. But those are kind of the main 2, on the next upcoming ones.
Where, if people want to follow you, where can they find you on social media?
So on Facebook, you can find me at Kody Kaiser, Pro Wrestling Pitchman, where I share all my information of upcoming shows, and then also some of my different promos I do, and they're always a hoot, if you ask me. The hardest thing is trying to keep them under a minute. Man, I like to ramble, apparently.
What about, can any of your matches be found on like YouTube online? Can we watch your work anywhere?
Yeah, there's a few that have been shared on Zawa Live's YouTube channel. Otherwise, if you go to Zawa, they provide, I can't remember the exact link right now, but they're all uploaded to a website, so you just have to do a subscription through them, and you can find all of my matches. So
I'm gonna end this. We're a little shorter than usual, but that's okay. We've asked a lot of questions. We've got some good talk from here. I want to have you cut your best promo on your 3 opponents coming up this weekend.
Okay, if that's what we're asking, yeah. Let's see here. All right. So here's the thing. We got started off like I always do. Card subject to change. Zawa Live and everyone listening at home. Kody Kaiser here, and boy, do I have a deal for all of you. That's right, the man of the people, the man with the deals, America's #1 pro wrestling pitchman. Now, this upcoming Saturday, November 16th in Nelson, Illinois, Zawa Fest 5, I'm in a fatal 4-way match. Well, here's the thing. My 3 opponents, I don't care. Numbers don't mean anything to a pitchman because I set them. So here's the thing. Quote Cabinet, Glad, I don't even care. Bayou Bill and Matt Hatter. Here's the thing. You all know you can't beat me. I've beaten Bayou Bob, Bayou Bill. And so he already knows he can't beat me. And people are going to say about the Steiner math I'm about to do. Nah. I don't know who this Steiner guy is. This is Kody Kaiser math, and it's always right, baby, just like my deals. So here's the thing. Chloe Gabnet, I know you're under a hood. I know you're kind of newer. I used to work with a guy called the Golden Boy who always wore a hood, and we were pretty good business partners. So if that's you under there, I'm going to be very upset with you. Bayou Bill, I know you're out here still trying to kill gators, and now you're thinking you can take my title. I heard you speaking. That's not going to happen. That's not, all right? I can get you a first-class ticket down to the bayou where you can stay there with your alligators and you can live happily ever after without my title. And then we got Matt Hatter. Matt, the last match you had was an Extreme Rules match, a hardcore match. You were bleeding all over. The place for you, like I mentioned to these fine gentlemen here, the Wizard CD or CZ, which, I mean, why don't you seize these deals? They're pretty magical too. And never wrong, Nick Bull. And you know what else isn't Bull? My deals, because they're always right. So going back to this Matt Hatter, Matt, the only place for you is a place with cushion walls around each side of you where you can sit and stay and dream all about your little wonderland. All right? And I can give you that once I beat all 1, 2, 3 of you this Saturday.
Awesome. I feel like you're talking to our former guest Matt Hatter. I feel like you have a jacket for him too, as well as that padded room.
Of course, it's gonna be a nice jacket. It's gonna keep him all tight and warm, so that way he doesn't get cold out there. It's getting cold out, but it'll keep him and it'll help protect him because he needs it. And Matt, I can get you that jacket. All it will take is a simple. Honestly, we're just do 3. I'm in a good mood. I'm hanging out on the Card Subject to Change podcast. So 3 easy payments of just $4,929.
That's it. That's it.
Easy,
3 payments.
easy money, especially in today's economy. Man, that's easy money. Couldn't ask for better, honestly. If I was offering that deal to me, I'd buy it on the spot. So that's what I'm just gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But most importantly, you all don't get this. This is mine.
Oh man, well that is going.
He's got a deal for us, man. He's got a deal.
It's a great deal, like all my deals. Oh, also I want to give a quick shout out.
Yes.
Really to my brother. Like I said, he kind of was the one that got me in. We actually were able to tag together for the first time here about a month ago. So that meant a lot. And he's been so Kody Kaiser, big shout out to you. I love you, brother. But
talk about that for a little bit. What was that like? I mean, you and your brother shared those moments, back in the day. You kind of triggered your love with WrestleMania 22, watching that together. Then you finally get tagged together. That had to be surreal.
Very. It was one of those. So yeah, I guess kind of going into that. So I had done training and was wrestling for a while before him, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna get into it." So my brother, he got the genetics apparently of the family. He's like 6'4" and jacked. So I always laugh and say that, people that got me, I'm like, sorry, you got the wrong Kaiser. But he trained out of PPW, originally out of Woodstock, now in Rockford, Premier Pro Wrestling. And then he was in the last Black and Brave class that graduated. So Stumpy, once again, it was one of our Warren shows, or hometown shows, homegrown wrestling. He was like, "Hey, you guys want to do this? Like, I'm sure it's something that's, and I was like, that would be insane." So, and we actually got to work Russ Hamilton, bigger name coming up. It's tiny man, if you ask me, but he likes to think that he's pretty big. But
just a little guy.
then, yeah, just a little. I mean, man, have you seen those? I think it's all just for a gimmick. I don't think any of that's real.
Hey, I'm not going to be the one to ask him to find out.
Oh, I will. I'll do it right to his face while selling him a deal. But yeah, so got to work him, and then also Dreamwave champion Connor Hopkins. So that was wild too, that experience. So, but man, what a opportunity! And honestly, one of the best parts was we were playing in the match, and I look at my brother, he looks at me, and it's like, we always wrestled each other on the trampoline. What do we do for tag? It's like, good point. What are we gonna do? And so, but we figured something out, and man, yeah, it was just such a cool experience. So, and that was when Babyface. So sadly, no deals for those. But go ahead.
That's okay. Let me ask you this: where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Where is Kody Kaiser going to be in 5 years?
Absolutely. Wild Dream. One of the big companies would be awesome. Definitely is the major goal in the long run. But otherwise, hopefully, my business partner, hopefully we've upgraded to the complete Zawa title, the heavyweight title of the world. But then more companies around the area. Hopefully, I'm hoping to get more into Dreamwave Wrestling. I did a pre-show there here a few months ago. One of their last shows, so that was a really awesome experience, but hopefully more in there. And then just working more companies and working more states and all around, giving my deals to the world as they should be.
Well, yeah, spread those deals around as much as possible.
Exactly.
And that's the great thing that I love talking with someone like you who's new to the podcast. You're spreading your deals to our audience now, and we are spreading your wrestling talent to our audience in return. I love that. Get out there. Yeah. The best part about this business is getting your name out there and being seen, and everybody needs to do that. And I like giving a platform to people like you to do that as well. Nick, I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely. The best part about this is seeing new people and meeting new wrestlers and people in the business and hearing their stories and why they love wrestling so much. And this is just another instance of that. And so we're happy to have you on here, Kody, and we really appreciate you coming on here and trying to sell us something.
Trying? What do you mean by trying?
I don't have any cash on me right now.
The check's in the
Doesn't
mail.
matter. Trust me, it is. You don't realize it yet, but your check is in the mail.
Oh man,
I love it.
No, it does mean a lot to be given this opportunity. Like I said, I was kind of talking to you guys before, but just the opportunity to do this, and you might have to apologize to your fans for having me on, but no, I really enjoy.
Well,
it.
I'm sure they're grateful.
They should be.
They should
I mean,
be
have you
for
heard
all
my
these
deals? Yeah, like
exclusive deals we're getting.
exactly.
Is
yeah,
there a
you can
promo?
get this
Is there a
everywhere else.
promo code they need to use?
No. No, they don't. They don't. They don't deserve
we'll make one. We're gonna make one. Promo code CSTC podcast gets you 2% added on.
There you go. There you go. Actually, yeah. How about this? You know, if you comment on this, you can get the Kody Kaiser T-shirt. We got them in the gray. We got them in the blue back here. You can see. And here's the thing. Normally, I charge $19.99 for them. Okay, and that is true. I always give back the penny. I'm a man of my word. But since we're on the show, we're having a good time. We're having fun. Tonight only, the Kody Kaiser T-shirt, the Pro Wrestling Pitchman, just $19.97. That's right. I can't believe it either.
You're not going to find that anywhere else, folks.
No, that's exclusive to the Card Subject to Change podcast.
I love it. I love it.
Brilliant. So leave your comments, get those T-shirts. We'll happily oblige and help get those out to our viewers.
Exactly. I imagine they're selling out fast, so you better hurry.
The numbers are limited, so call now, order now.
Oh,
get them while you can. Don't be too late. Great Christmas present. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows who Kody Kaiser is, so get them while you can.
Oh man, Kody, this has been fun. I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. Loved hearing what you had to say, and definitely interested to see where you go in the future and check back in with you down the road here.
I would love that. I was going to say, yeah, thank you guys so much. And yeah, excited to see where everything goes. Appreciate you having me.
absolutely.
Hope to do it again someday.
Absolutely.
Always got more deals to sell.
And with those deals, the door is always open for you to come back.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Well, that is going to wrap up this edition of Card Subject to Change. For my partner, Never Wrong, Nick Bull, I am the Wizard CZ. We are the podcast by the fan, for the fan, powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. We will see you back midweek for the kickout, and next Sunday right here on Card Subject to Change.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.